Hello, welcome into the Starters Podcast Edition. I'm Dave Trinadue here with Joey Alfieri and Simon Saligas. Hey, gentlemen, how are you?
What's up? You didn't point today, Dave. You didn't.
Yeah,
You get confused, huh?
I don't understand. It's the opposite of what I have going on. So I don't know. Anyways, how
Mirroring.
are you guys doing?
What's
Doing
going
good?
on, David?
Buddy. All good. All good.
All right. Please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Any bit helps. Leave us a comment after the episode or answer the questions yourselves, and we will really, really appreciate it. And, of course, catch us Saturday, Sunday, 7 to 9 on TSN 690. All right, let's get down to business, gentlemen. First question brought to you by Cafe Milano, 3 locations, Montreal, West Island, and, of course, Laval. So first question, what is Aaron Rodgers worth in a trade?
Simon, he owns your Chicago Bears, so why don't you go first?
I saw that great tweet today. Somebody goes, he's the president and quarterback of the Packers, the general manager of the Jets, and the owner of the Bears. That's an all-time golden tweet.
He took great offense to that. I saw the full interview on Pat McAfee show today. He's like, there was never any demands. I never asked for Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard and OBJ and all that.
Sure,
okay. He was very offended by Diana Rossini's
you didn't probably ask for it, but he says, I'd like a wide receiver, and his last name sounds like Lizard. You guys figure it out. So I think this is fascinating, okay? Because being a real estate broker, there's always two sides of a negotiations, and sometimes you think you're holding the hammer, and sometimes you're not. And sometimes when you're not holding the hammer, there's a certain way that I think you need to go by it. So the Packers are sitting there, and they're listening to this guy say he has to go to the Jets. Okay. So at that point, do the Jets have the hammer? Not really. The Jets don't. But this is the thing. They don't have Derek Carr. They don't have Jimmy G. The Jets don't want to go back to Zach Wilson. They don't.
But the Packers can't keep Aaron Rodgers at $60 million, Simon.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think neither has the hammer. And the Jets know that the Packers want to move on to Jordan Love. But if Derek Carr was still out there, if Jimmy G was still out there, Lamar Jackson is the interesting one because he can still be had. But the Jets don't want to go with the quarterbacks that they had last year. When the Jets did the whole Brett Favre thing, I heard Mike Tannenbaum talk about this today on ESPN. He said when they didn't have us over the barrel because we had Chad Pennington, we wanted to upgrade from Chad Pennington, but Chad Pennington took us to the playoffs 2 times in 3 years. So they did have that going for them. So the Jets here, they got to pay. The Packers know that they have to pay, but I don't think they have to overpay because the Packers, if I'm the Packers, I'm saying, listen, I'll figure it out. I'll cut somebody. I'll pay Aaron Rodgers, or you can retire or whatever. You guys knock yourselves out in a division with Jalen Ramsey that just arrived in Buffalo, a Patriots team that probably will be better, and
Miami,
Josh Allen. Good luck with Zach Wilson. So I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be any first-round pick. I don't think that's the way the National Football League works for taking on a contract of the size. So I'll take a second-round pick, third-round pick, and maybe some type of roster player.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there. I think the Packers, like you heard the president Mark Murphy last week, like I think they want to get away from this drama as much as they can, as quickly as they possibly can. It was fascinating to hear Aaron Rodgers. So parts of what Aaron Rodgers had to say, a lot of it was him stringing people along on McAfee's show today. They were pulling in the starters numbers today. Like they were over like 400,000 people watching live at one point, he was saying. But, it was interesting. He said going into the darkness retreat, he was 90-10 that he was going to retire.
Bullshit.
I didn't buy that either. And then he also said that going in, the Packers were like, oh, yeah, the Packers are willing to have me back. And then I emerged from my darkness retreat. And I don't know, something changed when I was in the dark. I don't know about all that either, bro. I think they wanted. I think they want to go to Jordan Love, and I think that your time ran out there. You had 18 years. It was a heck of a run. It's a great run. You won a title. You won 4 MVPs. You did what you had to do. But at this point, if the Packers are going to hold out for compensation in a trade, I mean, it's not a good look. I think the Packers are a classy organization. I think I'm with you, Simon. I think it's like a conditional third. If you want to have it attached to team success or individual success for the player, it can go up, a little bit higher. But to me, I think a conditional third is the way I'd go with this. I think we're pretty much on the same page on this one. a second round pick in the NFL, I find in the NFL, people have to understand, like, it's not like in hockey. Your second round pick is going to play in 2023 and you're going to get a good player. It's not a guy that you draft at 18 that might contribute 4 years down the road. So a second is a bit heavy just given the circumstances. Listen, if they can get it, great. But I just think you're probably looking at a conditional pick. So I'll say 3. But yeah, maybe they get 2 conditional picks. I don't know. Maybe they get a pick next year too. But I don't think it's going to be I saw multiple firsts at the beginning of the week. Like, that's not happening. There's not a chance that that's happening.
No, and because the Packers, the part, other than the part that they want to move on, having all that money off their books, it's gold. Yeah. That's where the victory is, right? Yeah. So again, I a lot of people talking about how he made those comments and now the Jets controlled everything. They don't, because the Packers, they don't want to, but they can they can tell the Jets to go roll out there with the same 3 they rolled out there last year. It's not going to work out.
Yeah. All right, we're going to stick with the NFL for this one. Question number 2 here, brought to you by EA Fitness. Simon, what is EA Fitness?
EA Fitness is a small, perfectly clean, spotless little gym in Laval. It's one-on-one training. It's not like the big box gyms. You go there, you make an appointment. They test you. They see where your weaknesses are. They'll figure those things out, and then you go one-on-one with a trainer. It's not like, you walk in, you swipe your card, and there's 200 people in there or 50 people in there. If there's 5 people in there, 5 people are working out individually with their own trainer. Very focused, very nice. Did it last year. Looking forward to doing it again. So go check them out. EA Fitness on Samson Boulevard in lovely Chamonix.
So, Lakis, do you do a shirt on or off when you have a small audience and you're working out there?
Like Pat McAfee, I wear my best tank top.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, 4221 Samson Boulevard in Laval. All right, question number 2. What has been your favorite move in NFL free agency so far? Joe, you could go first on this.
Okay, this is not going to be sexy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going with an offensive player, but it's not going to be. And I wrestled with a couple different options, but I wanted to save you one of the good ones. So I'm going Mike McGlinchey, the offensive tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, reportedly going to the Denver Broncos. They're also signing a guard. I think his name is Shane Powers. He's supposed to be good. I like what they're doing on the offensive line in Denver. I mean, I don't know if Russell Wilson still has game. I don't think he's done. I think that maybe Sean Payton can resurrect this. But to me, it starts on the offensive line. And those are moves I like. And it's funny, like a lot of these moves, people know, like, the running back, Jamal Williams going to the Saints and Miles Sanders going to the Panthers. And like, those are like, they might make an impact for sure, but these are the moves, the names that you don't necessarily know. These are the moves that you're going to look at during the season. You'll be like, oh yeah, okay, like that was a really strong move, and that's one of the reasons why Team X or Team Y improved. So I'm going with the beefing up on the offensive line by the Denver Broncos. I still, I don't think it takes them over the top. I think it makes them better, and hopefully they can protect Russell Wilson. And I think they should be better for it. They should be a lot more respectable than they were a year ago. I'm going to say my second one only if you don't say it, Simon. I don't want to there was one I debated between 2.
All right. So I'll give you mine. I think I really like the Sam Darnold move to the San Francisco 49ers. Simply because I think he's a lot better than what we've seen. I think he was on a very bad Jets team. He was on a pretty bad, not a terribly bad, but a pretty bad Carolina team. And I think he's landing exactly where you want to land if you're a quarterback that's never shown any type of greatness. Now, I don't think he's greatness or anything like that. But if you look at the success that they've had, gifted physically, he's more athletic and has a better arm than Jimmy G. And he's definitely got more tenure and clout than Brock Purdy. Whoever they put into that lineup.
He has more clout than Brock Purdy. I don't think he has more clout than Brock Purdy.
I'm saying coming in, right? Like he's a high first-round pick.
Okay.
College program. So I just think that this is an excellent football team that had to make sure that they knew that they were going to get a NFL play. Like they couldn't go off the board again, take the last pick in an NFL entry draft. We're not even sure if that's going to work. And unhealthy. Trey Lance is not healthy. I think this is one of the 3 or 4 best teams in football on paper. And imagine if you just get anything out of that quarterback position. So very quiet. Because going into it, I still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, right? Without all the moves being done just yet. And the Niners are there. But when we say the Niners are a great football team, it's hard to say when the biggest and giant question mark for that club is at the quarterback position. That's usually not the case. You can't really be one of the best teams in football when you have a giant question mark at the quarterback. This doesn't solve it, but I just think that this gets a little bit more they're a little bit more professional, and I think Sam Darnold's got a lot more game than what he's shown early in his career. I think he's been on bad clubs. He's on a very good club, and he's on probably the brightest offensive mind in the National Football League.
Sorry, Dave. I know you give me the dagger eyes. It was Ben Powers from the Ravens, not Shane Powers, the guard that they signed. I'm surprised that you went Darnold, but I'm glad you went 49ers because mine was Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle, leaving Eagles for 49ers. It's all about the pressure that you can generate inside. I know the edge rushers are big and they're really important. But if you can get that push up the middle that Hargrave gave the Eagles all season last year, it was great. I was surprised the 49ers were able to pull that off. I really like that move too.
Yeah, again,
32, the Ravens do anything?
Not much yet. I think they're waiting today, first day today, that they could, that teams could officially talk to Lamar Jackson.
Don't want to go off the board with the Lamar, but I don't think it's possible for somebody to completely mishandle their situation than Lamar Jackson did. Not having an agent, not having anybody able to talk to you and legal tampering, and have that verbal agreement in place. Teams that needed quarterbacks going into this season, the Carolina Panthers, looks like they addressed that by trading for the first pick overall.
Simon, nobody's tampering with him because nobody wants to pay that money.
No,
they're in it together. They're not paying that money.
But he's Joey, he's played this so bad. Like, he had options, right? And that's what he was going to shove in the Ravens' face. I have options. Well, the option with the Jets has been fulfilled. The option with the Raiders has been fulfilled. Carolina moved up with that equity to go first overall to take a quarterback.
I don't think that's what he's shoving in their face. I think what he's shoving in their face is, you guys run me into the ground. I take all this abuse, and the guy who's being charged for all kinds of stuff is just got paid all kinds of money, and I'm definitely worth that too. I think that's what he's putting in their face. I don't think it has anything to do with
again, Joey, he's not putting any offers, and the leverage that he did had is, I can take my skills elsewhere. Well, 3 spots where he could have taken his skills are
being blackballed. Come on, trying to do it. Come on, you know that.
I don't think he's being blackballed. I just don't think NFL owners are not going to give that guaranteed money. That's it.
Yeah, that's the case. I absolutely agree with that. And what I love about Lamar, I don't know if you see him, if you follow him on Twitter, but he's just nonstop after everyone who's putting out numbers out there. He's just calling them all out.
Sorry, Dave. Someone posted a picture, like a 49er fan sent him a picture of an old woman in a cage. And he's like, Lamar, I'm not letting my nana out of the cage until you sign with the 49ers. And he replied and laughed. It was funny. It was actually really funny.
Yeah, he's good. If anything, it's entertaining for that reason.
Maybe Atlanta?
No, they said they weren't interested.
Oh, that's what they said. You never know. Atlanta, Baltimore, and who else?
Washington. Let's go. Dan Snyder. Like we said it last week.
Yeah,
blow up the NFL. Just pay him $300 million guaranteed, and then bounce. Sell the team.
That could be done. That could be done.
Of course it could.
All right, let's move on to question number 3, brought to you by Station Pizza Moderne. We're going to bring it back to the NHL and the Habs. So I want to know which Habs player has forced you to change your opinion of them with their play this season.
Tzalikas, you better say the answer. I think you're going to say Tzalikas. You've been on this train all year.
I'm going to say my somebody who did not use a first-round pick is going to live on sweater, and that's Sam Montembeault. Habs got
That's a good answer.
Habs got a little bit better from last year. They got a little bit better. Sam Montembeault got a whole lot better. And I don't know if he's a long-term solution. The grind of an NHL season, year after year after year, might get the better of a goaltender. It got the better of Carey Price, a daily grind. It's physically and mentally. But can he be a goalie for the Canadiens in the next couple of years for them to get back into that wild card spot in the Atlantic Division? Yes, because I like the growth, and I also think when the team is better, and the team's puck possession numbers are better, and their ability to score goals and control possession and all, they just become a better team, a team that flirts with 95 points rather than 65 points and 70 points. Less, high major scoring chances, less shots, less everything. I think this guy can carry the load for 55, 56, 58, whatever number of games. I think right now, I think I'm comfortable saying that he can be that. Can be the backstop of a team that wins a cup. He's at that age where goalies start to take off. I don't know. You go back to Darcy Kemper last year, had a brilliant year. Go back to the year before that, and he was putting up numbers that were nice, but they weren't terrific. So Sam Montembeault has really impressed me this year. Look, he's their number one, right? I think he gives them a better chance.
Allen's played more lately than.
But who gives them a better chance to win? I think Montembeault.
They've both been pretty good.
Yeah, and going into the season, we thought Allen would be that one. So I'm impressed with Sam Montembeault this year.
You sold me Talikis 2 first-round picks. I just want to say before I jump into mine, I just want to shout out Station Pizza a little bit more, Dave, just because we had a family party there over the weekend. It was I had a sister-in-law's surprise birthday, which I thought I gave away on last week's show. I'm assuming she didn't watch the podcast. She's busy putting together a solid education. But we had quite a few people there. It was a very big group. We had a set menu. They brought there was all kinds of pizza, all kinds of pasta. Calamari might be the best in the city. There was dessert, there was entrees, there was the whole thing. It was outstanding. And I'm telling you, everybody brought home a doggy bag. Everyone was stuffed, and then everyone had enough to bring home. Every person at that party brought something home. So if you want to have a party at Station Pizza, you can hit them up. They're legit. It's funny, we're both going positive on this one. I knew he was a good player, Simon, but there was a few years ago where there was a lot of negativity around this player signing a long-term contract, and he wasn't living up to the deal. He ended up getting traded to Pittsburgh, and then he came home to Montreal in a trade last offseason. It was Mike Matheson. I knew Mike Matheson was good. I figured, I knew he was a mobile top 4 puck moving defenseman, but he missed a big chunk of the season with an injury. But man, he's been really impressive. You can tell he's healthier now, and he's a lot more comfortable after making the move back home to Montreal. He's absolutely blown me away. To me, I feel like whenever we talk about veteran defensemen on the Canadiens, we talk about Edmondson and David Savard. But, I think Mike Matheson's 28. There's still quite a bit of tenure left on that contract. I'm good with Mike Matheson being here for quite a while. And honestly, there are almost no untouchables on this team. There's no, to me, there's no untouchables over the age of, 25 on this roster. But you would have to seriously blow me away to get Mike Matheson out of the Montreal Canadiens right now, because when healthy, he's been excellent. I'm not going to say I've been surprised, but it wasn't too long ago where people were like, "Ooh, this is a terrible contract for a player who's not living up to expectation." But to me, second half of the year, Mike Matheson's been unbelievable. I love that player.
Wow. So both gave great answers. I'm just curious because you said we both went positive. Was there somebody negatively that you'd have to change your opinion of them quickly, obviously? But someone off the top of your head.
I don't know. Negative. I honestly liked Mike Hoffman more than most people. I think when that deal was signed, I knew he was he's a very he was going to contribute in a very specific way. It was going to be on the power play, and their power play has been bad, and it's not Mike Hoffman's fault. He doesn't give you much defensively, but the shine has kind of wore off a little bit. I didn't think he was great. I just thought he'd produce a little bit more. So, if you want to give me Hoffman, that's fine. I don't think they're going to find a taker for him unless they eat half the salary going into a contract year next year. But I don't know. I'm trying to think negative. There wasn't anyone I was overly negative about. 32. I'm curious. Do you have one?
I have a whole bunch on the list.
Negative guys that you feel
negative.
Worse about?
Yeah, Yoel Armia had a fantastic World Championships. Came back.
Man, you had high expectations for Yoel Armia.
I had expectations. Brendan Gallagher.
But you knew that. You knew that.
A long off season, going to be healthy, going to come back, going to be the old Brendan Gallagher. Didn't see that, and I get Jonathan Drouin's picking up assists and stuff like that. But that skill level, decent hockey offensive IQ to be sitting out one goal that doesn't bode well with me. And again, he came into it this year. He was healthy physically and mentally, and I don't think you can ask for a better coach from Martin Saint-Louis to where he was and the club that he was joining. The guy behind the bench spoke his language, and when I mean speak his language, I mean go push pace, play with the puck, don't chip it in, hold on to it, skate, move, and create offensively, and not getting enough from him either.
Did you have someone 32? Because I have someone I just thought about. I didn't like the trade when the Canadiens made it, but I mean, he's been offensively anyway, he's been pretty disappointing. I was going to say, I know he's had knee surgery today, but Christian Dvorak, I didn't like that trade when they made it. I thought a first-round pick was way too steep. It was a reactionary move to losing Kotkaniemi. And I was saying at the time, like, I know he put up numbers in Arizona, but putting up numbers in Arizona and putting up numbers in Montreal, two very different things. So I think when they got him, I think Mark Bergevin probably saw him as a 2C, like a Dano light. I don't think he's a 2C. I think on a really, really good team, if you have two really, really good centers, he's a 3C. And I think that's where he should probably be slotted.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, for me, what's going on?
Yeah, everybody's going to bed. Everybody's complaining.
Get out of there.
I'm in this house.
All right, well, let's rather. Mine would have been Jonathan Drouin. I just think that
you're so negative, Dave. You're so mean.
I'm not mean. I really, really had high hopes for once. I really thought he was going to do amazing when this season under Marty St. Louis. He was going to turn things around. He had a bit of a break and didn't work out for him.
Amazing.
It's unfortunate.
What's amazing?
Sorry?
What was amazing to you? Like, what amazing results were you expecting?
More than one goal, more than enough to maybe be a chip at the trade deadline, right? Enough to maybe see that there was a potential for something more instead of just being what he is now. You know what I mean?
I think he's played okay, but I think it's fair.
Yeah, no, but he has played okay. Don't get me wrong, but I expected a little bit more.
So negative, Dave.
I'm sorry. All right, let's get more positive then. We're 80 days away.
Downer. That's what he is, Davey Downer.
Yeah.
Wow. don't show people, my friends, this. Come on. All right, we are 80 days away from the Stanley Cup Final. 80 days, guys. That's pretty close. What two teams do you expect to see there? That's what I want to know. Question 4 brought to you by, of course, Vivaldi in the West Island.
All right. I really wanted to go with a different answer than Boston, but Carolina lost Svechnikov for the season and the playoffs this week. So that was my number one contender. I'm sorry to be boring. I like the Devils. They're young. They're fast. We had Amanda Stein on the show last week. She had a whole bunch of nice things about them. And it's true. They're really good and they really surprised me. I don't think they're there yet. And I don't know. I'm apprehensive about teams that make these big splashes at trade deadline. Like, I don't know. It doesn't always seem to work. You look at Colorado last year, they went out, they got themselves Arturi Lehkonen, who made some great plays, scored the Stanley Cup winning goal, for goodness sake. But, not the biggest name out there. So I don't know about the Rangers either. I really want to say someone other than Boston. The Leafs changed half their roster. Tampa Bay, I think they run out of gas this year. I'm going to go Boston in the East, as boring as that may sound. I apologize. And the one team I really, really like out West, I really like the Dallas Stars. I think it's going to be a Boston-Dallas final. I think guys like Rope Hintz, guys like Jason Robertson, they need to be on the national stage in the States and Canada to get the recognition that they clearly deserve. I still think that they're the two most underrated superstars in the league because of where they play. And on the East Coast, we don't get to see them. So I'm hoping that Dallas makes it to a Stanley Cup final, and I think it's going to be Boston.
Wow, I like it.
The Svechnikov loss is massive when you double down that there's a Pacioretty loss there as well. Like that team, full roster, I think on paper, especially with that blue line question, I don't think there's giant question marks in nets. It's like who's going to just carry the load. They don't need great goaltending to win. They can beat you on the score sheet. But with those two guys down, it's hard for me to pick those guys. But I'm going to go with the Rangers. I am going to go with Tarasenko. Tried, tested it true in the postseason. Patrick Kane, I think there'll be a little bit of a flip of the switch for him come postseason. they have a little bit of that edge that I don't think it's the big bad Bruins anymore. I don't think they're the big bad Bruins at all, but they like to every once in a while pretend like they're them. And with Kreider and Trouba, I don't know how far they can go down that road. There's a couple of Rangers that are nasty individuals, and then it's going to take a goalie to stand on his head, and the Rangers have that as well. So I'll go with the Rangers beating the Bruins, and on the I guess what is it, the Campbell Conference you want to call it, the Western Conference, I'm going to go with the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow.
They got to listen. I think, a lot of times we talk about how Connor McDavid, the team's done nothing for him, and like they were in a conference final last year and they lost to a very good Colorado.
They won as many games as you and I did in that conference final.
I know, but they got there. You and I did not get there.
That's a fair point.
There was Mike Smith too, just to be noted.
Yeah.
Look, Evander Kane coming back for the Oilers is kind of like one of those additions at the deadline that doesn't make a lot of noise because he was already a member of that team. I think they get a lot better. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is probably one of the best stories in the NHL that absolutely nobody is talking about. I think they learned a little bit from last year. Maybe no Landeskog, or maybe not at 100% in Colorado. That might just come back to bite him just a little bit.
No Lehkonen, are you kidding me?
Oh, and Lehkonen too, but Lehkonen out. I don't know if he's
4
out.
to 6.
4 to 6. So he should be back for the playoffs, right? Or at least whoever they play in the first round, they should be able to handle. So he should be back for the second round. If they can find a save, I think they can get there. Look, one guy has 129 points. The other guy has 100. I saw this stat today. He has 17 more games to get one more point to get to 130. I don't think anybody's done that in the last 20 years. He's got 17 games to do it. So I'll just go with the Oilers and the Rangers in a series that I would definitely watch.
That for sure. That would be great.
Yeah, no kidding.
32. How about you?
Even Zach Hyman, the Oilers were my pick for the West too. I really like what they're doing. Zach Hyman, 72 points. It's unreal. Nugent Hopkins, I don't think anybody had the year he's having on their scorecard. So I really like what Edmonton's doing. Jack Campbell's a goalie who could get hot at the right time, if they decide to go with him. I think that's something that the Oilers could really, do some damage in the playoffs. And it's hard to bet against the Bruins in the East. Although, I mean, they're kind of robbing us of an amazing season by losing to the Blackhawks 6-3. Like, come on, you got to win those games.
Yeah.
That would be my final. But I a little bit of answers from both of you guys. But I mean, that would be it for me.
The Echo move might be also something that's going to pay itself.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
And I like Vegas, and I know Jonathan Quick. He's perfect so far there, and I know that he doesn't look great. He's not the Jonathan Quick of old, but at least they have somebody there that's been there before, and that they could do a bit of damage too. I think that they're a little bit under the radar for going in as well. So let's go to question number 5, brought to you by Fresh MTL. And this one's I'm going to keep it for all sports. That's why I got all most of the trophies up there. Who will be
Grey Cup they're trying to do it.
I know. It's because I can only fit a certain amount. All right. This spoiler alert. This is one picture. All right. This is one picture that I removed the background of. So who will be the next sports dynasty? Technically,
who's up?
You. I'm very curious to see what you're gonna say. I think I might shock you, but watch this. We'll say the same one.
They won a championship 2 years ago. If they were healthy last year, they make their way back to the NBA Finals. I think they're the odds-on favorite to win the title this year. They're young enough. They have the best player in the world. They got depth. I'll say the Milwaukee Bucks have a chance to win another title. If things go well, maybe they go back-to-back. 3 out of 4 kind of gets you in a kind of very special, group of NHL or NBA or whatever franchises. So I'll say right now, the Milwaukee Bucks have a chance to be the next dynasty.
That's boring. You went with a superstar player in the NBA. I was going to say Colorado.
A dynasty that doesn't have a superstar player.
Yeah, I know, but it's a team that already won. It's a team that already won a championship recently. Like I thought Colorado, I think Colorado when healthy, they're going to be around for a long time, the Avalanche. But I want to go somewhere that hasn't won yet. All right. Are you ready for my answer, Tsalekis?
It's not the question, though.
It is the next dynasty.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you have to win or not win.
No, I know. You took the easy way out. You took the easy way out, Salikis. That's all I'm saying. Here's mine. And you're both going to disagree with it. You're going to think I'm nuts. I think they have a signature win in the playoffs this year. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are building something special. I really do. With Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, they're getting Calvin Ridley. They've got, they've made a couple little moves in free agency. I think this is a team that's building in the right direction. I know they don't pull in many headlines outside of a crazy comeback they had in the playoffs, but it's a team that started tough. They finished 9-8. It's a bad division. They won their division. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be around for a long time. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 4 Super Bowls in a row, but I can see this team winning a couple Super Bowls in the next 5 years. And to me, that's a dynasty now. So I think that the Jaguars have an opportunity to do something remarkable with Trevor Lawrence as quarterback, assuming that keeps trending up.
Look, it's a tough conference.
Very tough.
And look, like when I say Milwaukee has that luxury. Somebody needs to win that Eastern Conference. So if the Bucks win, they don't get the Celtics and the Sixers.
You're right on Milwaukee, by the way. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you took the easy way out.
If Boston finishes second, the road to the NBA Finals goes through Boston against Philadelphia and then goes to Milwaukee. So that's tough. Just that AFC, man. If you just think about everybody that's got to get theirs, maybe Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, Josh Allen in the mix, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, depending if he goes back to Baltimore, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. I don't think
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I like it. It's just that the level of competition is ridiculous on that side of the football conference.
Yeah, but the Chargers are going to flop. Justin Herbert's going to want out. He'll go to the NFC. Josh Allen's going to get fed up of taking huge hits in Buffalo. He's going to go somewhere else in the NFC. These things are going to move around.
They just might struggle a little bit until they start to win on the regular. They'll struggle a little bit in free agency. It's got to become a winning destination.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, that was it. Thank you very much.
32. You don't have a dynasty. Memphis Grizzlies. What do you want to say?
Oh, I like it. I mean, the Astros in baseball are interesting, right? They won the World Series. I mean, they're kind of a mini dynasty already in my eyes. But I mean, they could keep going. They're a really good team, and they're somebody. I mean, they have so much motivation, and they're hated by everybody. They're the bad guys of the MLB now. They've replaced the Yankees, the big bad Yankees, as the most hated team in baseball.
That's a good answer.
That's who would be my pick for sure. But thank you, boys. That was fun.
Take it easy, buddy.
And we will see you on Saturday morning, 7 to 9 on TSN 690. And of course, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. The Starters 690.